Hey guys, very excited to bring to you a new lather bowl. It's got a good name in the shaving community with a lot of users, and I think their shop is on Etsy. I just found it on Etsy today, and it's a pricey bowl. But if it fits your dimensions, if it, let's finish that sentence in just a minute. Mitchell's wool fat, going to use that today. Same brush as yesterday as well. Taj handled Semogue Owners Club boar brush. It's been soaking for quite a while. So he's definitely well hydrated, ready to take on the world. We're going to switch razors today. Instead of the pearl shaving flexi that I'm really enjoying, I've just been kind of having injectors on the brain. This is an L1, I believe, and looking forward to using it. It's got a Pella blade in it, and that's the same as the Persona Injctr blade, from what I understand. I came to that knowledge here recently. And we're going to mix up the lather in the Pereira Lather Bowl. So what thought was I having? Was I having the, yes, $44 was what this bowl is going for on their Etsy page. Several different colors to choose from, and it's made up of a very hard plastic, and they call it the unbreakable lather bowl. I mean, does it really need to be unbreakable to be a lather bowl that works really well? No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be able to have your car pull up on top of it and it'll be just fine. You know, about any plastic will do just fine that's in this shape. And so I kind of wish they would do that. Take this nice shape and then just make it out of a cheaper product so that they could offer it for 20 bucks or 15 or something like that. I think that would be really nice for the shaving community. Now, the obvious comparison here, and I had a recent mail call video that kind of showed these guys. This is the lather bowl that I've used so many times, the one designed by Roger Quintero, and it's a 3D printed lather bowl. And then here is the Pereira lather bowl right next to it. The funny thing is, for a couple of years I knew about this bowl, but because of pictures online, I would see a brush kind of sitting in it, and it just would look kind of small. It just wouldn't look, not super small, not like some of those other ones, like that regular size Captain's Choice bowl. That's just really small for me. But it would even look a little too small when I'd see people use it in demos and things. But then when I started reading about the dimensions and then comparing those dimensions to my own bowl here, I thought, well, maybe it's closer to big than I think it is. And I started looking for it, and it was no longer on eBay. It was, there weren't really any. They don't regularly come up in the used marketplace. That's where I got this one. And it happened to be a friend of mine, Keith, a YouTube viewer now for quite a while. It's really great to interact with him. Thank you, Keith, for this bowl, and so he's an awesome dude, and so I got this at used prices, which I'm very glad. You know, that's just the best way to go. Quick comparison, I'll do a more in-depth comparison later. About the same depth, roughly the same depth, but it is like this one can actually, if I do it snugly, can fit into my computer one, my 3D printed one, and so it is smaller. Now I think if I'm using a big brush, it might be noticeable and it might be too small, is my initial guess, based on I've just tried so many shapes of bowls. But I'll bet medium-sized brushes that I might have, or the smaller ones, they might really enjoy this. So I'm really interested to try it out. I do like the ring when it comes to rinsing it out. Just makes it so easy to when you're working water around it, to always have a secure grip. That's really a nice factor. I don't really probably won't use the brush rest very much, and I will enjoy having the textures at the bottom. Now these are just kind of raised a little bit, but these are actually bumps. And I like the bumps. They have a higher elevation than the spiral long pieces here. And these, I think, I like those. These almost seem to be doing a shearing bit of force where the bristles tips will move across them, and they'll move just a little bit as they go over them. And so maybe that's intended to introduce just a little bit of air. I'm not really sure. I would rather have it be full of these bumps myself, because then that's going to cause the bristles as it goes over it to kind of flex against each other a little bit. And that's what I think might generate the lather quicker. And that's just all stuff in my head, totally a guess. So anyway, looking forward to using this guy. From the size, I think maybe my fingers are going to get pretty soapy with it. So we'll try it out. It's a well-known bowl. A lot of big fans out there of this bowl, and I'm really glad to have it to give it some runs. All right. Now let me get my face wet, and then we can. I don't have to load the blade because I already did. And the thing, in case you don't know too much about injectors, you need, with this kind, you need a key. The purpose of the key is to take this clamping action that's going on here, top, bottom. They're holding the blade really tightly. And you have to have something to wedge in there, not in the same area where the blade is, but in this little hollow right here around the corner from the blade. That is where you put the key, like so. You press it all the way in, and if you happen to be having more blades right here that you want to use, then you can use a little slide that's right here to press the blade through, and then the one in the razor will pop out the other end. Now if you, if I'm just using this one as a key and not to load blades from it, then what I can do is I can push this all the way in and then use something to push the blade out the end and then pull it out, and then from the other end you can slide the blade you want to use in. So you can do it a couple of different ways. Some of the blades will come with the key part here, and some won't. All right. So this is the Ted Pella / Persona blade. It's got 3 uses on it, and I think you'll want to make sure that the blade comes all the way down to the 2 little catches in the corner there, kind of like the Gem Micromatics as well. They do that too. And now when the key's inserted, this top part it's farther away from those little hooks, and so I was actually concerned, but as I took the key away and it closed down, this top part, the top cap here, pushed the blade down toward the little hooks, and everything lined up perfectly. So, and I'm sure that's the way it was designed to work, right? So, this is not the adjustable. I do have the adjustable available. And here is the dial adjustable with a whole bunch of settings between 1 and 5. The little ticking knob lets you make very minute adjustments. And it moves this little plate right here in and out, and that controls the safety bar. I've used it once or twice. It didn't dazzle me, but I'll tell you what dazzled me. This was the first injector that I ever used. Now, it's a Schick as well, and you can see how it's the same deal. It's got that same hollow area that you would put the key in. And, of course, it's got a shorter handle. And this, maybe an M. I can't remember the designation. If you look at the internet, you'll be able to see the different letters and numbers that kind of tell you the difference between the different models. This one was manufactured, I think, until 1980. I think from 67 or 65 to 1980. So about a 15-year reign. And so you're going to be able to find this one available all over the place. It'll be pretty commonplace, pretty inexpensive. And so if we like the shave, then that's a really good thing, because it means that this particular one is easy to obtain and probably pretty cheap. All right, very good. Also, you know what? I have a theory. If I ever want to travel and carry only my checked and not check any luggage, use my carry-on only, but I want to take a nice razor experience. There's the Gillette Guard, which is a cartridge razor that's single blade, that's open comb. That's eligible. That's a good one to take from what I hear. I will bring it to my channel at some point. I have one of them nearby. But then an Injctr, because they're so cheap that if they get confiscated or if they get lost or damaged or whatever, then big deal. You can replace it for maybe $7. You know, because if you don't have like the key with you, if you're traveling on a weekend trip, you just take the one blade and you leave it in the razor, and then they say, if they have a problem with it, you say, well, I can't take the blade out. It's locked in there, you see? And so it's like a disposable. And so I think you could probably get away with having this kind of razor on a trip. Okay, face is wet. Now, the lather today, we are going to mix it up in the Pereira Bowl, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. I'm just guessing. Pereira is how you spell it. And I believe it's Portuguese, made in Portugal, something like that. Made in UE, whatever UE is. I don't know that abbreviation. And then it says Portugal since SECXIX. So we got some Roman numerals there, I guess. Okay. So we're going to do the Marco method, kind of. Yesterday, last time, I did the Marco method, kind of a full-on Marco. I did 120 swirls on the Mitchell's Wool Fat hard puck here. And then I took that, and that was the soaking brush before I put it on the soap. It was soaked. Couldn't hold any more water. And then after the 120 swirls, I started on my face, and you could see how it was very slow to develop the lather because there was just so much water involved, and it took a little while to turn that soapiness into lather, but it did, and it did turn it into a pretty good lather. A lather I was really pretty happy with on the first and second passes. Now on the third, unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of carryover lather available to me, and I actually got a little bit of irritation generated because of that. Because the lather was just too skimpy. It wasn't like it was too wet. It was just it wasn't there. And so it was not a luxury feeling shave on that third pass. It was not an enjoyable face lathering experience. And so you face lathers out there, that's obviously something that you have had to make a plan to overcome, right? And I just haven't quite figured out what that is in that type of situation. So what we're going to do today is that same exact load. That same 120 swirls, but instead of going right to the face and working it up, first and second pass, I will reiterate, yesterday I was very happy with that experience. And so maybe if I could get down to just a 2-pass shave, then that might be a nice way to go if I wanted to do a face lather. I didn't press hard at first because I didn't want all that water to dump. I wanted it to gradually combine with and form the lather, combine with the soap. And so I was very ginger and careful. And I think that's part of the Marco method. Okay, so today we're going to do the 120, but instead of going right to the face, we're going to go right into the bowl. And we're going to take that same amount of lather and see what it does in the bowl and see how many passes we get out of it and compare it to the 2 nice passes I had yesterday. And the third one wasn't all that great. It was okay. I mean, it got the job done, but not comfortably. Definitely wasn't anywhere near a luxury or enjoyable experience as shaving can be. And so what if I end up with 4 passes of awesome lather by switching to the bowl? That'll be good to know. I don't think I'm going to change any face lathering minds because maybe they need to be fast. Maybe they like it simple. Who knows? But it'll be nice to know that little bit of info. All right, so I'm going to take my soaking bore brush. I'm going to let gravity take out any water that it can take out, and then just like yesterday, sometimes you can get it out by tilting it. You can get a little bit extra water out because of surface tension and things like that. All right, so but it's heavy with water just like it was yesterday, and the soap is we've used this soap several days now, and so it's not like yesterday was a dry soap and today's a wetter soap. Should be pretty close to the same hydration, so that part should be a constant as well, roughly. All right, so 120 swirls, very light swirls, like Marco would have us do, also called the old Italian master barber's method, or some configuration of those words. All right, 120 swirls. All right. 1, 2, 20. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 120. There we go. All right. There was definitely a lot of water in the brush because there was some still on top of the soap. I will go ahead and pour that in the lather bowl here. I kind of ditched that part of it yesterday, and so I'm wondering if maybe I should keep things consistent. But I mean, I think as long as the soap amount is consistent, then I think that'll still tell us what we need to know. All right, here we go with the Pereira bowl. Here we go. Very fun, for me at least. Now, I like to hold it like this, where I put my thumb through that, just a lot of control that way. And if I push the brush kind of most of the way down, you can kind of see how it takes up a lot of the space there. So we'll just see what happens here. This is not a really big brush, so hopefully we don't end up overwhelming the bowl. And I'm just really curious. Yeah, it's starting out very wet, very bubbly, as you can see. That's okay. We know that we're bringing a lot of water here into the mix. And just like on the face, we know that it'll take a minute for everything to kind of work together. Yesterday, I did not have to add any more water to my lather. Switch, go the other direction just for fun. One thing I also noticed, we're looking obviously at a repetitive motion here doing these circles. And so I did notice with smaller lather bowls that it was a little bit more tedious to try to maintain those smaller circles. With my Quintero lather bowl, the 3D printed one, since it's larger, my circles were kind of a more natural shape, a more natural size. And so like right now, my muscles feel different because I'm having to actuate them quicker because it's making smaller circles. And we don't have the airy stuff anymore. Now it's not, thick by any means. Let me get in there, and this really soaked in water right up to the base of the knot. And so I want to at least make some time in the lather where I really press the soap up into the base of the knot, just to make sure that that gets access to the soap, instead of potentially flushing things out later on. Obviously, because of what we discovered yesterday and how the Mitchell's wool fat acts in general, we can see that adding all the water that you need in the beginning is not a problem with this soap. It doesn't matter if you add it slowly or if you add it all in the beginning. Yeah, see, look how we're firming up now. Ha, very nice. Keith was kind enough also to send me a sample of Extro, and I have not yet tried that brand at all. So I'm thankful for that, and I'm looking forward to trying it. But I'm doing the Mitchell's wool fat kind of experiments right now. See, looky there. And this lather looks really nice. I'm going to keep mixing it just for a little bit more. I'm sure that my muscles would, if I kept using this bowl, my muscles would get used to it, right? That's just a guess. I bet that's true. It is feeling very strange because they're smaller circles. And I could potentially see needing a little bit more water for this, but let's just not and see what happens. And it looks like I've got plenty of lather for 3 passes. My theory is starting to look really good. The 2 nice passes via face lather, or 3 nice passes with a bowl lather. And that is why, my friends, bowl lathering can really help you conserve soap. I know it's cheap and a lot of guys don't care to conserve soap. But if you're in that position where you would like to get the most out of your soap, then I strongly advise you shop around, find a good bowl, a soup bowl, a salad bowl. Those are great options. They really are. And so you don't have to go out and spend extra money like you might see on the line for these kind of bowls. I've just discovered that after years of shaving now, I'm a big bowl guy and I get a lot of enjoyment from them. And so if I pay even, let's pick an imaginary amount, $70 for a bowl that's going to last me 30 years, I'm okay with that. If it's going to provide that enjoyment for me. I also consider the resale value of the bowl. If I get it and it just doesn't happen to match me, then I can resell it. And if it resells for $15 less than I paid for it, am I going to get $15 to try out that? Am I going to be happy with that? Yep, be happy. I'm fine with that. So here we go. Pereira Lather. Looks like it did a pretty good job. My fingers did get a little messy, but that's okay, not too bad. Not bad enough to count, let's just say that way. Oh, let me get my face wet one more time. So the Mitchell's Wool Fat is a soap that's been around for a while, made over in England. It has quite a following. Lots of people really enjoy it. It is kind of one of those simple type soaps. The scent is kind of simple and clean, and laundry, linen, that kind of type of scent. Fresh. The scent's not going to offend anybody. It does have lanolin, of course, with it being from like mutton tallow kind of stuff. Oh, look, we are generating some lather here. The scent's really not going to offend anybody, but the lanolin could. There are some folks that are sensitive to lanolin. So we are going beyond just painting it on our face. My habit, my custom is to work it into my skin. Looks like it might need just a touch more water, so I've got a 40 milliliters jigger. I'm sure I won't need very much. In fact, I probably didn't even need to pull from the jigger. I probably could have dipped, because we're not really tracking water, because tracking one brush full of water is not all that accurate. So I'll just dip down here in the water, bring that up to my face, kind of quicker than the other method. I like the feel of this brush. This lather, when it's not too thin, makes it feel very nice. It's maybe a little scrubby, but not really. It's a very comfortable, soft brush with nice, easy splay. I think I got this lather perfect right here. I'm not going to add any more water to the bowl, because I bet if I just kind of leave some extra droplets of water from the rinse on my face, I bet it'll be right. And not a whole lot has been gathering up around my goatee that sort of thing. It's something else that makes me think it's about where I want it. That means it's not too concentrated. I think I'm in a good spot here. So I think I'm looking at maybe 4 or 5 passes of nice lather. And that's very interesting. Okay, now here we go. Now in this case, let's just try for funsies. The brush rest works. For the Semogue Owners Club, works just fine. All right. I did some testing and this Zenith did not. It flipped over. It wouldn't lay straight because of the center of gravity. But like I said, even if you can't put it in the rest, those bumps and stuff at the bottom will keep that brush from slipping down into the lather. And that's a real priority for me, actually. And so you don't have to keep cleaning your hand off or dipping down in the lather to get the brush, you know. That's one of my preferences. It's kind of important because it's just a bother every single time, right? Now, here we go with the shave. The Injctr, Shick. It's smooth on the back, but it has ribbing. Yeah, there you can kind of see that, I think. It has ribbing on the sides, on the front there, and the other side, of course. So you're not going to drop this guy. And as I recall, I haven't used it a ton, but it was not hard to find the angle. It wasn't hard to find a good angle. You're not going to get a whole lot of the high tone vocality from the Injctr razor because the blade is so much more rigid than a DE. It's not going to sing nearly the same way, and that firm feel, it does set it apart from the DE razors. It's very light as well, this razor. It's almost light like you're using a titanium razor or something. I'm not getting any kind of tugging sensation at all. It's so light that I'm kind of having to pull it through the hair a little bit, but not really. I kind of miss having a little bit more weight to it. It just gives it more gravitas and substance, I think, if it was a little heavier. There we go. Pretty quick. Very comfortable first pass. Now in its 4th use, this, blade, it's not going to last like a DE blade. I usually throw my DE blades out if I were shaving with them for my own pleasure. Instead of kind of demoing them to you guys, I usually throw them out between 30 and 40. If I'm demoing them to you guys and I want to give a new razor a kind of a good eval, then I throw them out at about 10 or 12 uses. But I think the Injctrs, less than 20 is probably going to be their lifespan, where I can go a lot further with other DE blades. Now, I think you'll find some people on the internet. Now, I did feel some stubble. The razor I used recently, the Pearl Flexi, even at the 2 setting, cut down more stubble with a DE blade with about as many uses as this blade has. It cut it down more easily. It cut it down better. So this may just be a very mild razor. Now, as long as it gets it done in 3 passes, I don't care if it does 95% in pass number 1, or if it does 30%, then 30, then, I don't care how it does it myself. We'll go ahead and switch to cross grain. It also could be that my angle could be, I could change that and get something more efficient. This yellow handled one, the kind of the yellow Bakelite, this really impressed me. I think that one might shave a little better than this one. But I haven't done a lot of research on the shaving on the Injctr areas of the internet. Sometimes you'll see that there's a community consensus and say, yeah, that That white handled one, man, that's just generally regarded as a lot better. Like the when I tried out the Gem Contour, which actually kind of looks like this, it has this same kind of curve handle, but it's the the single edge blades, the ones that look like box cutter blades. It's the Gem single edge, and I had a very mild, kind of ineffective shave with it. And sure enough, folks who knew, like HD Shaves and other guys, let me know that, yeah, that's pretty much standard for that particular razor. It's not really known for a good performance. Yeah, so I can still feel some stubble. So it is gradually reducing my beard. Now, some people regard the Injectors and the SEs and the Artist Club size as well as a good value, because that kind of person sometimes only gets 3 or 5 shaves from their DE blade, and so when you compare them that way, that person can often get more shaves out of the single edge. And so then they think of the single edge as a better value. Okay, so I'm laying on now the third pass here. And look, 120 swirls, same amount of water as before, actually a little bit more, because I'm glad that worked out. But I've got my third pass yesterday when I was brush lathering, face lathering, building the lather, on my face. Didn't look nearly as nice as this. It was skimpy. It gave me irritation because there wasn't enough slickness. It was just a water slickness. There just wasn't enough soap in the mix, and it was not enjoyable. The razor was skipping big time because the surface tension was there. It was not in a good way. But here, I've got a wonderful, slick face full of third pass lather. I've got another pass on the brush and 2 more passes probably in the bowl. So that tells you how efficient face lathering is compared to bowl lathering. Same amount of water, same amount of soap. Only difference is face versus bowl. So that tells you how much that first pass concentrate. That's why I always call it concentrate. That first pass stuff going down the drain, that's where you're losing your stuff. But knowing that, and I've said this for years, knowing that, there's still guys who choose to face lather. That's just fine, because that's their different priorities. Everybody makes up your own mind what you like. And so I'm not saying they're being stupid by choosing face lathering. They obviously, they're happy with whatever lather they're able to get, and they've probably found a workaround or some other way to get where they want to be. It's not like all face lathers are dummies who, just once you enlighten them, then everything's okay, right? That's not the case. They have good reasons for choosing what they like, just like we do. And you've seen all the brush work that's gone on my face. So I continue to fight the myth that if you're a bowl lather, you don't have a lot of fun on your face with your brush. Very comfortable, and I'm thinking that it's just because it's a very mild setting here in the razor, the gap and everything. So I think it's one that about anybody could try out safely, no problem at all. I don't feel anything close to irritation, anything like that. Might take a little bit of work to get a BBS type shave, to be honest with you. This is the Persona / Pella blades, and it seems like if you go about anywhere in the Injctr shave universe out on the internet, a lot of people say that the Persona blades and the Chinese Schick blades are the 2 that you need to try for Injectors. Some pretty reliable people will say that one is a little bit sharper, but the other one is still very sharp but smoother. And and so they enjoy those shapes better, you know, that sort of thing. And so definitely try out both of those. The Chinese ones, they call them Chicks because they're Schick blades made in China, and they are Injctr blades, and they do look very much like the yellow packages that I've seen are like a package like this where it has the block and then it has the key with it. I've been told that the Pella blades are the bulk packaging of the Persona blades, and so they may not necessarily often have the key with them. So there we go. So that's the third pass down. I've got plenty of lather. Why don't we do a fourth pass, and let's see what kind of cross grain magic we might be able to do. Oh, you know what? Let's change up. Let's not do that. Let's move the blade into this guy right here and see if he is different. All right, you guys can see me do that in live action. All right, so I'm going to take my key, insert it in, and that relieves the pressure. That lifts up this top cap here farther away from the edge of the blade so that we have a little bit of space. And then I need to get something like, I'll see if my fingernail will work, on the edge of the blade. Yeah, and see, then I was able to make the blade end tab here come out, and then I can just very gently, it is a blade after all, pull it out the bottom like that. So now this is an empty razor here. And now here is what the Injctr blade looks like. And this is the Persona. They don't print anything on it, and so you kind of have to keep track, right? If you're testing a couple of different blades, you have to figure out a way to keep track. All right, so we're just going to reverse the process to put the blade in the other Injctr here. Now this one says, just for posterity, made in the USA. It's got some patent numbers. It has insert key written right here with an arrow that points to right here. You can't insert the key from the other side. It's not big enough. And this says Ever Sharp Shick. And there we go. So we will insert the key like that. So that opens up and divides the two pinching areas. And so then, let's see if I can do it from this side. Oh, you know what? Another thing you can do, I think you can do this. I think I did it before. You can take your Injctr cartridge here and push the blade back and make sure that the blade edge faces away from the key. Push down, kind of like you're loading a Nerf gun with bullets. And now we've got that blade in there. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Again, we'll insert the key. We'll use this gizmo. Oh, it's pushing the good one and the one underneath as well. I need it not to do that. I'm going to pause you and fiddle with that. You don't need to see me do that. Okay, I think the reason was because this pusher is a little on the thicker side, because as you can see, this says twin. And so this is actually pushing in two blades at one time because of the Schick twin concept. And so what I did was I made sure that the twin blade was back and underneath this little pusher mechanism. And so I believe as I push, we'll put the right blade in the right spot. Yeah, there we go. And then I can start backing it out. I'm going to check and use my fingernail here to make sure it's under the little hooks like that. Yep, everything looks good. Pull the key out, and that should just bring everything kind of down and clamp down. All right, that is how you do that. And let's see if this guy can take the stubble here where the previous one was a little too mild to. Now maybe the Persona blade here is often remarked as being smoother than the Chinese Schick in the yellow packaging. And so perhaps this one would become more aggressive, or it would move from really almost too mild to medium, or to mild but still does a good job with the other kind of blade. So that changing that blade when you're this mild of a range could make a big difference. Also, if you wanted to just use a blade once or twice, it's possible that that extra little bit of sharpness might be what this guy needs to do well. But let us just lather up for a fourth time and see if the, I wish I could remember the designation of this injector here, the yellow handled one. A little bit of water on my face just to go with this lather. So this is now the fourth pass. And I think this is use number 61 on this brush. Really continue to enjoy this one. This is my high mileage bore brush. I'm still kind of low on it, but this is the one I'm going to try to churn uses on to try to get those tips to split. Oh, look at that awesome lather. That just feels so good. It's a little on the opaque, it's not opaque, it's a little on the translucent side when it gets a little thin there, but it's doing a great job of slickness. Very, very nice. Okay, see how yellow guy feels. Let's do that cross grain here. Oh, now this one moves really nicely. The other one kind of drags a little bit. This is very nice. I don't guess it drags. This just has a higher glide. The other one moves okay. I wasn't complaining, you know, but this one, it's like moving like it's just on ice. It's like a greased pig. I mean, this is very enjoyable, and I can kind of hear it. It seems like it's getting at hairs that the other one just never did. So, just like with the world of double-edged razors, looks like there are kind of big differences in some of the different injectors out there. But it's still very comfortable. I mean, I'm feeling that edge of that blade just a little bit, but it's very nice. Very not bothersome at all. Oh, now see, there we go. There we go. I don't believe if I would have gone over that again with the L1, I don't believe it would have, even 2 times, I don't believe it would have done what this guy did. I kind of like the looks of the L1 better, but as far as performance goes, this is the dude right here among the ones that I have. So I guess I could compare him to the dial that I was showing you guys. I could maybe have a shave off with these two. I bet this guy's going to win. I bet this guy's more likely to resemble the other one. But man, this, and this is the first one I tried, and I lucked into trying the better one, it seems. Oh man, it just moved so easily. This one does have ridges in the safety bar right here. I don't know if that made a difference. Does this one? Yeah, that has ridges too. Somehow, it's just different. Oh, you know what? Look at the top cap. If I put the corners together, the top cap is longer on the silver one. See how the gold top cap doesn't go down to the blade? So it's probably got a little bit better exposure on this one, but you don't feel it in terms of discomfort. I don't feel it in terms of blade feel. It feels really good. I mean, when I used this the first time, I was impressed, and I could see why people would buy this kind of razor and not shop around anymore, because it's a very good feel, firm edge, close shave. It just zips around nicely. On this one, I like the head weightiness of it because it's a plastic kind of handle. The center of gravity is right here, and that just, it works. I don't usually like a head weighted razor, but it works here. So yeah, I'm glad I switched to that. The difference is notable. I will say this, if you like aggressive razors and you don't want to fiddle around with trying to learn the sweet spot of an angle or something like that, like a Gillette Tech or something, then you may not want to worry about trying these too much unless you just want to whim. I mean, they are cheap to try. Seriously. I mean, I've seen plenty of eBay lots with a couple of these, like 4 different injectors and a super speed for $12. I've seen it so many times that it just doesn't cost a lot for you to try. And places like Maggard Razors, I know they had the Ted Pella blades, the Persona blades, Injctr blades. Connaught Shaving is a great shipper. They're out of the UK, and they have several different options of Injctr blades to choose from. As well as Amazon and eBay both have those yellow Schicks that don't cost very much. So it's not, to try it out, it doesn't cost a whole lot. It really doesn't. So in the end, this guy's super comfy, but kind of too mild. If I had to, I wouldn't really have a problem with this shave, walking away from the shave with what this gave me in 3 passes. I'd probably still be fine if I went to work at that point. I don't think anybody would be looking at me going, did you shave? Or, you could have done a little bit better on your shave there, man. And so I think it would get the job done, but it still left some feeling there that most of you guys probably are trying to get rid of. Very interesting. Good to know. Now, here is my repeater. This has that magazine of blades inside the handle, and it loads it right in, but this top lip here doesn't seem to be holding the blade very well, and it feels unsafe. And so I'm going to wait, do some research, ask around to see maybe how to remedy that. But it's very cool. I like it. All right, well, we learned some cool things here. I learned just how much better this Injctr is than this one. Felt better on the face. The glide was just 5 times better. And the efficiency, while still being pretty much just as comfortable. So it pretty much it beat this guy at all points, pretty much. So that's what we learned today. We also learned that I think I just did 5 passes of lather. Yesterday, this same amount of soap and water gave me 2 passes, and that's all. But I have even more, and look how great it looks. I don't want to do that. I'll make a mess everywhere. So, good stuff. I'm glad we took this little Mitchell's Wolf Hat excursion. Yeah, and there we go. There's how the brush is being held up in the bowl by those bumps, so it's not sinking down in the bowl at all. But I could put it right there if I wanted to. So I do like the handle on my shaving bowls. Don't really care for this kind of thing. The shape here and the smaller circles might take me a little while to get used to. However, in this case, I enjoyed using the bowl. It did not seem like it was too small. My hands got a little messy, but not enough to make a big deal. So, we've got a pass. We've got a successful first use of the Pereira Lather Bowl. Thank you, Keith. Maybe we'll call this guy Little Keith. All right. Okay. So we learned some things. The bowl, the razors, the loading of the soap, that those 2 passes are actually containing in them is actually enough for 6 passes. Okay. Enough. Let's not beat that dead horse, right? Let's not do that too much. And, yes, I knew there was something else. I am going to go grab the aftershave that I'm going to use today. This was a generous donation by one of my viewers, and he also gave me a new brand of soap that I haven't tried yet. Well, technically 2, because this is Floris, and he gave me the hard puck of Floris. Never tried that brand before. I'm gonna go find a container for it at my other place. That's where my bin of containers are. Hopefully we can find a classy one, because Floris is not a cheap soap, right? And also Most wanted is the scent, and the company is Master Soap Creations or something like that. It's a South African company, and that's awesome. I never tried that one before either. It represents a very neat value. I looked up on their website, and they're at about a $15 price point for 6 ounces of soap. That's really cool. That's kind of sterling level, price per weight of soap. So I'm very interested to see how well it performs. They also had, 20, 15 different scents to choose from. I don't know how their scent strength is, but I'll be interested to test that out. I don't know if I'll have to wait until my scent really comes back. I'm about 60% right now because of COVID nose. But I may just try it anyway, just for performance, and won't really render too much of a evaluation on the scent. But let's try the 89. It's a citrus and woodsy kind of thing with got a bit of lavender, neroli, things like that. Now, it's got kind of the other one I tried had a big opening, or at least one that allowed a lot to come out. So yeah, that's much better. That's a reasonable amount. Don't want to waste it. And I think we're looking at a company and these types of scents that I did need a little bit more. These types of scents that have been around for a while, and so they're kind of classic. They're not trying to blaze new trails with birch tar or anything like that. That's very nice. That's really nice. And it seems like it's got some good ingredients for my face. It's not just an alcohol type thing. Definitely a good perception of quality with the weight of the knob, the way it all screws together, that sort of thing. Are there any ingredients? I'm afraid. Oh, wait, here we go. No ingredients. Made in England, florislondon.com. Their address is on German Street, so that's a very shaving-related historical street for our community of hobbyists. All right. That's a good finish. It, of course, matches with Mitchell's Wool Fat because of the lightness of the scent of MWF. And they're both English, so they should like each other, right? Right? And I found out, the other thing I found out was that I believe this is, I should have said it right away because I may have forgotten. I think this is an E. I think this is an E razor, and it was long before this guy. Told you this guy was in the 60s to 1980. Well, I think this guy was like in 1934 or something like that, in the 1930s. So this guy was around for quite a while before this guy, and it looks it. This is definitely more modern design. But if I had to choose, it'd be this one all day long. It's just the glide, all the good things I told you earlier. Wonderful. And it makes me want to seek out those other, there were in between the L and the E were other letters. And so the enjoyment of this one, it definitely makes me attracted to injectors and to maybe keeping an eye out for some of those other models. This one, not so much. Purposeful, kind of gets the job done, but it doesn't have a lot of, I was really talking about this one, doesn't have a lot of magnetism in terms of attraction. This guy performs so well that I want to find more about him. This guy, just kind of very, very practical, gets the job done, pretty mild. However, there might be some guys out there that need an ultra mild shaver, and so I would point you to this guy right here, the L1 from Schick. Tons of them out there, I'm confident. All right. And definitely compare, look online first, because since it's the used market, if you get on eBay or something, you could definitely have a person selling one and they've named it wrong. So they could call it an M1 when it's really an L1. And so you need to know your stuff. Look it up online, know how it should look so that you can confirm your purchase and make sure it's the right one. So another thing is the fourth use on this Pella blade, Pella/Persona blade, and it's doing just fine. This guy with using it made me think maybe the blade's starting to show some age. Nope, he's just fine because this guy used him well. comfortably too. I don't have any irritation or anything like that. Well, I was curious. I just had kind of a hankering for Injctr razors today, and so I departed from the pearl shaving adjustable, the Flexi that I've been using lately and really enjoying. And I'm glad I did. I'm very glad that I whipped this guy out. He is a good reason to depart from an enjoyable Flexi. This guy is a reason to go back to the Flexi, at least for me. If you want mild, then this guy might be your guy. If you want super mild, like the Feather ASD2 perhaps, or the RazoRock Game Changer 68 gap. Those are kind of on the too mild for me, generally speaking, end of the spectrum. And so that might be the kind of person who could appreciate and enjoy this little piece of history. All right, man, very nice. All right, so the brush looks like after a good rinsing, cleaning, towel stropping, and kind of spreading the bristles out a little bit to get air in there. Clean that soap out of the center of the brush so that it doesn't eat away at the bristles and cause them to break. All right. That aftershave, the 89 from Joris, continues to be kind of around me. I'm enjoying the smell of it. Really nice, kind of classic, but definitely not old smelling at all. I think it is a contemporary type scent. I really enjoy it. I don't know if it's rooted in something that was created long ago, but man, it feels like something that's just kind of a timeless classic that really doesn't feel old at all. So pretty cool. And face feels nourished and feels good. So it's got some good skin food in there apparently, would be my guess. Very nice. Learned some cool things today. We'll just see what tomorrow brings. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I hope there's something in here that helps you in your shaving journey. Take care. Good night.